Isabella Hart had spent the last 5 years of her life chasing stability. A senior marketing manager at a firm in Manhattan, her days were dominated by deadlines, spreadsheets, and color-coded calendars. She lived in a sleek apartment high above the city, with a skyline view and a fridge full of sparkling water and leftover takeout. Everything about her life was efficient, predictable. Until Florence. The trip was a gift to herself, a rare break. No Zoom calls, no Slack messages, just her camera, and the crumbling beauty of an old European city. She hadn't expected the rain to greet her the moment she stepped off the plane. Thunderclouds loomed over the Renaissance rooftops, and the streets glistened with reflections of centuries-old cathedrals. By the third day, she was annoyed. She sat alone under a striped awning outside a small gelato shop near Piazza della Signoria, legs crossed, fingers tapping the edge of her espresso cup. Tourists scurried by with umbrellas like ants in a flood. The wind smelled of wet stone and espresso. And then she saw him. He sat casually across the street, hunched over a sketch pad with a cigarette dangling from his fingers. His curls were damp, plastered to his forehead, his white shirt clinging lightly to his skin from the mist. There was a sort of stillness to him that didn't match the hurried energy of everyone else. He glanced up, caught her staring, and smiled. A slow, deliberate curve of his lips that made her heart skip. "You don't mind the rain?" She called across the narrow alley in English. He chuckled, stood up, and approached, his long strides confident. "Rain makes the city softer," he said in accented English. "And besides, I always meet the best people when the sky is sad." She laughed. It was a strange way to start a conversation, but something about him, his ease, his voice, the way his eyes didn't flinch, made her stay. "I'm Matteo," he offered, holding out a hand. "Isabella." They shook hands. His grip was warm, firm. She noticed the ink stains on his fingers. An artist. They shared a gelato, stracciatella for her, pistachio for him, and walked beneath the colonnades of the Uffizi, her arm brushing his now and then. The rain slowed to a drizzle, and she found herself laughing more in 2 hours than she had in months. Matteo didn't ask her what she did for work or if she was seeing anyone. He asked about her favorite books, whether she believed in soulmates, and what she would paint if she weren't so afraid of doing it badly. That night, she went back to her hotel with cheeks sore from smiling and a sketch he'd made of her on a napkin. She couldn't sleep. The next day, he was waiting for her with an umbrella and 2 cappuccinos. No plans, no obligations, just wandering through cobblestone alleys, hidden courtyards, and shops tucked away from tourists. He took her to an antique bookstore where they read poetry aloud in hushed voices, and later to a family-owned pizzeria where he rolled dough beside her, his hands guiding hers as flour dusted the air. They didn't kiss. Not yet. But there were moments. Fingers that lingered. Eyes that locked a little longer than polite. The kind of anticipation that felt electric. On the 5th night, after a sunset walk along the Arno River, she paused on the Ponte Vecchio as gold shimmered on the water. Her dress clung gently to her from the humid air, and her hair was tousled by the breeze. Matteo stood behind her, close. His voice was low, velvet soft. "You make Florence more beautiful, Isabella." She turned, heart racing. His hands reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, but she didn't. Their lips met in a kiss that was tender at first, then deeper. The kind that unfolded slowly, like a secret being revealed. She felt her hands clutch his shirt, felt his arms wrap around her waist and pull her close. It wasn't fireworks. It was gravity. As if the world around them had gone silent, and only their heartbeat mattered. That night, she didn't return to her hotel. They lay tangled in sheets at his small apartment in Oltrarno, windows open, the rain falling again. His fingers traced the curve of her back as they spoke softly in the dark, about dreams and fears, and how neither of them had expected this. By the time her scheduled departure arrived, she couldn't board the plane. "I have meetings, Matteo. I have a life in New York," she said, standing in the rain outside his building. He didn't beg. He just looked at her with that calm certainty she had come to adore. "You also have a heart, and maybe for once, it wants something different." She walked away. 2 weeks later, back in Manhattan, she stood in her kitchen, staring at the napkin sketch. Her planner was open, but blank. Her inbox overflowed, and her heart ached. She booked a one-way ticket. 6 months later, Isabella opened a gallery in Florence, La Pioggia, named after the rain that had changed her life. Matteo painted in the back studio. They spent mornings together at the same gelato shop, and nights on the Ponte Vecchio, wrapped in each other's arms, never needing to say what they already knew. That sometimes, love doesn't strike like lightning. It falls, slow and steady, like rain.